This is the journey to one Africa. And that's why I said I do not agree with what Malema said, that we should always side with the oppressed group because we understand how to be oppressed. But for me, what I'm saying is, first of all, not all the time oppressed group are right. And if they're not right, then why should I side with them? No, I should always side with the right side. And how do I find right side? In any situation. It's not about being oppressed, that you're oppressed, then you're right. And you're oppressed, then you're wrong. It's not about that. What if the oppressed group are wrong? And I will give the evidence for us as Africans. Africans, we were oppressed. We are oppressed today. We were colonized and highly oppressed. But whose fault is that? Why we were oppressed? Why? I need to find out why before I stand with anyone. And if I don't not know why, I ain't gonna stand with anyone. I need to find out why Africa were oppressed. If I found out why Africa was oppressed, I can give you an example. Congo, because Mobutu Sese Seko turned against his friend and sold his brother and killed him. It's because the best friend of Thomas Sankara turned against himself with the colonizing, they killed him. Because some of our forefathers sold our people, and our people right now are in the diaspora and Caribbean and all over the world. So why were we oppressed? Because of us. We are the reason why we're oppressed. And I look at this one country in the same continent we have, Ethiopia. They decided not to be oppressed. They said, we're gonna fight this bastard and they're not gonna take over our land. Not once, twice, 3 times, they beat them. They kicked them out of their land. And that country, as a result, it was never colonized. So whose fault was that? If Africans decided not to turn against each other, come together as one and fought those guys who came to take over our land, Africa, when it would have been free until today. Nobody would have taken Africa away. Berlin Conference, it would have happened, but Africa, we're never going to be divided if Africans decide to do that. So should I side with oppressed group? No. If I don't know why, I'm not going to side with oppressed group. I do not going to fight with oppressed group. That's why I highly disagree with that statement. And I think we should really think critically in every single thing we hear. We can't just be naive to listen to what I'm saying right now and agree and take it with you. No, it might sound good, but we must think critically. Why? Why? Because if you kill my people, and you're an oppressed group, should I side with you? Heck no. Heck no. That is the victimizing mentality. The thing that I'm oppressed. I am not oppressed. I will never be oppressed. I was never oppressed. And I decide me and my family, we shall never be oppressed. And I decide me and my people, we shall never be oppressed. I decide that. I decide that. I ain't gonna allow anyone to oppress me or my people. I made my choice. And I will never be oppressed. I will never victimize myself and I'll never be oppressed. I will take over dominion because that is the only task God has given me. Genesis 1:26. Therefore God created the man with his own image. And he created, and he told him this: go and take dominion over the birds on the skies, the fish in the seas, and everything that run around the ground and under the ground. Go take over dominion. I decide, I choose to take over dominion, and nobody is going to oppress me. I say no. Even if everybody else around me decide to be oppressed, I will not be oppressed. I will say no. I'll refuse that. I say no. It's not going to happen. So I think all Africans should decide that, should decide not to be oppressed. If we decide that, you see, yes, I am paid 100%. Because I disagree with what Malema said. I love Malema, man. I met him 1 month ago. I love a lot of things that he said, and I stand with him, and we support him here at Trading Nation. And I think he should take over the government in South Africa the next time, I think. But I do not agree with everything he said. Yes. And I do not agree with everything he said. You understand that? Yes. And it's okay. If you support someone, it doesn't mean that you should agree with everything he said. PLO Lumumba, my African daddy, PLO Lumumba, my African daddy. Okay. PLO Lumumba, my African daddy, he's the best friend with Malema. They're together. But they don't agree with the agenda of LGBTQ, and they're still working together. That's what Africans should always think. That just the fact that I agree with you, just the fact that I support you, doesn't mean that I cannot disagree with you. I think for myself. Whatever you say, I don't take it and act on it and be like, okay, this is true. No, I think for myself. Why? Why is this statement being said, and why should I agree with this? No. When I see my people are being killed, I look at the title. Hamas group killed 2 Tanzanians, and one, the video just is out right now. Hamas group. They should be accountable. They must be stopped. If you target my people, you must be stopped. And that is simply because you're coming after my people. Or you did that to my people. No, I should think about this. Why Africans were oppressed. That's the first thing I should think about. Why Africa were oppressed. And when you go deep down to find the solution, you realize that it's because of ignorance. It's because we sold each other's out. We had chiefs, we had king who sold our people for money, for paper money, sold our God for paper money, and welcomed these strangers, and they colonized us. Who to blame? To blame this oppressor group who came and colonized us? Or we should blame Africans who sold our people and they knew what they were doing? I'm blaming Africans. So in this case, I'm not going to side with Africa, because otherwise I'm going to stay with my victimizing mentality, thinking that, I was oppressed. Why are you oppressed? It is your responsibility to make sure that you're not oppressed. If you're oppressed, then there's something wrong with you. There's something wrong you've done somewhere. And when I think about Africa, we were oppressed, and we're still oppressed today because of one thing: ignorance. And that ignorance is what is costing us. That ignorance is what is costing us. When the war like this happening between Palestine and Israel, we decide which side to group with because of our religion, and we forget that the right side to be with is Africa. Because in Africa, there's war happening. In Africa, our people are being killed. In Africa, our people are being tortured, like these Tanzanian men who have been killed. In Africa, our people are being brutally tortured, brutally murdered like animals. Actually, more than animals. Because sometimes they respect more animals than people. You know what I'm saying? So that's why I disagree with Malema. That I don't think that I should always side with oppressed group. I should find out why you're being oppressed. Why are you being oppressed? So for Africa, why is Africa being oppressed? Why Africa was oppressed? Because we decided to be oppressed. We open up our doors. If we shut down our doors, if we came together, because back in the days, Africa had strong kingdoms, man. You know, in Tanzania, we had this one tribe called Hare tribe. And these guys, they fought a war with Germans. We have this one chief called Mkwawa who fought with everything they got and kicked their butt off. They fought basically for the independence of this. This is just one region. They did not even have weapons. They fought their butt off to make sure that they kicked Germans off. They did that. We did that. Okay, you can go to Ethiopia. You see how those guys, they beat Italians off. And that's why it's the only country that were not colonized. They did it. And because they did it, they were not oppressed. So they decided, they choose that, you know what, we're not going to allow these guys to colonize us. So what? We're going to come together as one Ethiopia, and we're going to fight these guys, and we're going to beat them out. And they did it. They did it not once, twice, multiple times. They did it. They beat Italians, and they were never colonized. They decided, they choose not to be oppressed. It is the choice you make. If Africa is oppressed because we have decided to be oppressed. If Africa were colonized, it's because we decided to be colonized. If Africa today we are being killed outside of our continent, it's because we have decided to be killed. People, they are ready to sell their own people because of their religion. Man-made thing. Religion, man-made thing. I'm talking about Africans who are being killed with Hamas, and people, the only thing they're talking about is that, oh, you know what, okay, Israelite, Israel, they paid you. How dare can you say that? Do you know how many Palestinians have been killed? Do you know how many Africans have been killed by Israel? I'm telling you, anyone that kill Africa, I'm after you. Because you are not gonna oppress me and I'm gonna stay silent. I choose not to be oppressed. I choose not to be controlled. I choose not to be dominated. I choose not to do that, because the only job that God gave to a man is to be a dominator, to control, to take dominion of our own land. So I decide to take dominion over my own people. I decide to take dominion over my own land. And I ain't gonna let nobody oppress me. I ain't gonna let nobody kill my people. I ain't gonna let nobody, I don't care whether you're oppressed or you're oppressor, but if you come after my people, I come after you. And it's none of my business, whatever that is happening outside of Africa. What matters for me with my mission and vision is what's happening inside of the continent. And that I'll fight until my last breath. And if you're an African, and if you know what is happening, you will stick with Africa. So I say, not always you should stick with oppressed group. You should have to find out, why are we being oppressed? And I gave you an example of Africans. If we do not ask why, then we are not thinking critically. And we are going to make decisions based on our emotions. And we're going to be on the wrong side. If you ask why this is happening, and why this is happening to me, you'll find out reason and you'll be able to solve solution, because you cannot solve anything if you don't find the root cause for that problem. You cannot. I don't care. You kill my people, you kill Africans, I'm coming after you. My fellow Tanzanian, Joshua Molel, my condolences to his family, because these guys have been waiting for 4 months after he was kidnapped. And the news is, who has killed them? He was already killed. The video just came out 4 days ago, and somebody has a decency to film this guy being killed with knife, being stabbed everywhere, and be shot, dying there on the spot, defenselessly. He cannot say anything. He cannot do anything. He's begging for his life with these 5 men holding gun, holding knife, and just stop him anyhow, man, multiple times, man. This is how our brother left. This is how our brother died, man. And who killed him? Hamas. This is how our brother died. And you're here defending that? This is how our brother died. Think about that. Think about that death right now. Think about that. And whatever you say, man, if I had access, I'll bring here his father and to talk to him, to tell him that. I would love to. I would love to talk to him, man. I'd love to talk to his family. Yeah, I'll find out because, yeah, he used to have a friend from his family, so I'll find out. Be on the right side, and the right side on this is Africa. If we cannot stick with one another, if we cannot stand with one another as Africans, we lose this battle. Because Africa, you've always been a target. Your continent, your people, everywhere they go, everything they do, we have always been a target. But ask yourself, why Africa's always been a target? Always. This is my favorite question to ask. Why? And I tell even people that I work with that, okay, if you see me doing something, if you see me telling you something, before you reject, before you say anything, ask me why. Because there's a reason behind why we do what we do, why we say what we say. So if Africa is being targeted, ask yourself why. You realize that Africa is the mother of the world. Africa is where everything began. Africa is the beginning of civilization. Africa is where all the wealth is. And so Africa has been targeted, not because they love Africa, but because they want a piece of Africa. I said in the afternoon that one of the people that are doing really well right now, and some of Africans are embracing them, are Chinese. What Chinese are doing right now, before, and I'm using their platform, you see them limiting me right now. Before they had a policy for only 1 child, but right now it's 2 children. You know why the second child? It's because of the investment. They invest them outside of their country to Africa. So a lot of them are here marrying our people, having kids, mixed kids who are speaking Africa just like Africans. So they come here, they have their babies, they become African. And majority, and there are a lot of them, they speak our languages. There's a Chinese band in Congo right now. Those guys, they sing, if you listen to them, you think are Congolese. And they're everywhere in Africa. Everywhere you find them. Man, these people have been strategizing for more than 50 years ago. And now Africa is under a lot of debt of Chinese. Not only that, but they have a lot of Chinese everywhere. And most of them, they speak our languages. So what is it going to happen after 10 years from now? Africa is going to be recolonized again by Chinese. And people say, oh, Chinese, they don't really interfere. Africa's policy. Do you know what they're doing on the ground? Have you been on the ground to see what they're doing? Have you been on the ground to see how they treat our people? Have you seen Africans how are being treated in China? Have you seen that? If you did not see that, then shut up and don't say anything, because we are at a huge risk. And I am concerned that we are too late right now. And the only solution for Africa to break out from this shame and humiliation and this colonization that never stopped is by Africans coming together and choose the right side, which is Africa. Africa is the right side. Instead of talking about other people's business, talk about how many people are being killed in Africa. Talk about how many people are being killed in Congo. Talk about how many people are being killed in Sudan. Talk about that war, because nobody's talking about it. Talk about it. Mention the numbers of people that have been killed here. And this man-made thing, this man-made stuff, religion, throw it away. You can have it for yourself, but don't let it control you, because that is man-made. And it was made for us to hate one another. If I am a Christian, to hate a Muslim person. If you are a Muslim, to hate a Christian person. But God is love. God is peace. God is unity. God is one. That is our God. If you do not have fruits of peace, love, and unity, you don't know God. You're just a hypocrite. We must have the fruits of love, peace, and unity. And we must focus on our continent first, if we want to have the bright future for our kids. What we are going through right now, I hope my kids don't go through this, because it's too much. It's too heavy burden to wear. Yeah, look at this. This is what I get. Are you paid by Israel and US? See, this is what I get all the time. This is what I get all the time. If somebody asks me that question, it's because you are being paid. It's because you are being paid. So you only project on me, you think everybody's being paid like you. Go see our contents, what we talk about. We share everything.